Hey, 7th graders, this is Mr. Themes coming at you again. We're going to be doing another video here today, lesson 25-2. We're finding the surface area of cylinders. You're going to need your pencil, obviously, and also a calculator to do this lesson today. We're going to be finding, let's mark up these learning targets, finding the lateral surface area of cylinders, and we're also going to be finding, even more importantly, the surface area of cylinders. So that's what we're working on here today. If you'll notice this first part of your section, we have this three-dimensional figure, this cylinder, and the lateral portion is this portion here. It's the side of it. Lateral just means side. So if we're going to find the surface area, we need to find not only the sides, but also then the top portion. We need to find the area of both the top, and you can't see it in this picture, but also the bottom portion as well has a circular base, the top base and the bottom base, and then there's this lateral place here. So all this is this lateral surface area, and you'll notice it makes a rectangle. This is forming a rectangle. So the 15 is easy to see that this length here is 15, but then this part is kind of tricky. So this part is actually what we call the distance around the outside of the circle, or it's called the circumference of the circle. So go ahead and write that and label this picture here. This is what we call the net. We call this the net of the cylinder. So that is called the net, and the circumference is the distance around the outside. So we should all know that that is a symbol. If we were going to draw the actual net, we would also probably draw this lateral base, maybe one here, and then maybe one here. That's what the net would look like. So that is what the lateral area is. The lateral surface area is this part, and then the total surface area is all three of these pieces added together. So let's look at this first example. We have a cylinder here, and for the first part, we're going to find the lateral surface area first. So that grayed out part that's on the side, we're going to find that lateral surface area first. And again, if we know that the height is one piece of it, so then what we're really doing is we're just multiplying the height times the circumference. And I won't write out circumference again because you know, but it's the height times the circumference. Okay, so the height then would be, we'll call that h, so it's h times, and we should hopefully know the formula to find the circumference of a circle. That formula is 2 pi r. So now if we plug in our numbers into this, we get the height of this cylinder here is 15, as you can see, and then we're going to multiply that times 2 pi, and the radius in this case is going to be 10. So I'll put parentheses 10. Now you can multiply this out however you want. You can do 15 times 2 times 10, or you can do it one step at a time. It doesn't really matter. 15 times 2 times 10 would be 300. So it's 300 pi is what the lateral portion would be. So step 2 then is going to be the area of the bases, the area of the two circles. So I'll put area of circles here. And notice that there's a top and a bottom circle on both of these. So whenever we find the area for one circle, we're going to multiply that by 2. So the formula to find the area of a circle, as we all hopefully know, it's pi r squared. And since there's 2 of them, we'll multiply that by 2. Let's plug in our numbers here. Pi times the radius of 10 squared times 2. Well, we know that 10 squared is 100, so it's pi times 100 times 2. Which then equals to, let's see, 100 times 2 is 200 pi. So to find the area of the whole surface area, the lateral portion, which is this part that we did in blue, and then also the two circles that are the bases, we need to add those together. So when we add those together, let's see, 300 pi is one part here. So we're going to add the lateral portion, 300 pi, plus the area of the two circular bases, which is 200 pi. So when we add those together, we should get a final answer of 500 pi. That is the total surface area. If you wanted to do 500 times 3.14, if you want to get rid of the pi, sometimes it'll ask you to leave it in terms of pi. Sometimes it'll ask you to take it to the decimal. If you take it to the decimal, then you just multiply that. You should get 1,570, and that would be inches squared, since we're talking about surface area. That would be your final answer, or this could be your final answer in terms of pi. So that's the first example. If you look at below that, then what is the surface area of the cylinder using the variables r and h? Essentially what they're asking for here is the formula. So the formula to find the whole circle of any cylinder, surface area, is going to equal to 2 pi r times radius times height plus, and that's the lateral portion there, plus 2 pi r squared, and that is actually our circular basis. So that's the formula. Now let's show how this formula works. So they're telling us now that the radius is 5 and the height is 15. So I'll use my formula from above and I'll plug in my formula. 2 pi r in this case is 5. The height is 15 plus 2 times pi times the radius again is 5 and square that. So now we just got to evaluate this out. So I'll keep it. Let's see what we do first. 5 times 15 I'll do first over here. So it's 2 pi. 5 times 15. In this case, let's see. 5, 15, 30, 60, 75. So it's 75 plus 2 pi times 25. Okay, so now multiply 2 times 75 and you get 150 pi plus 2 times 25 is 50 pi. Add those two together and you should get 200 pi. And you'll notice in the original question it said leave your answer in terms of pi. So we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi, so it's 200 pi, and it tells us this is in feet as our unit, so it's feet squared. That's the total surface area of this cylinder. Flipping over to the back side. Number 3, we'll go ahead and write down our formula here. We're going to have to write a little bit smaller here, but the formula again, surface area is equal to, always want to write down your formula first, 2 pi r times height plus 2 pi r squared. All right, now let's plug in our numbers. So we have 2 pi. Now be careful here because this one gives us the diameter of 8. So if the diameter is 8, we know the two radiuses are 4, so we need to plug in 4 for the radius, not 8. Be careful about that. Times 14 plus 2 pi, radius is 4 again, squared. Now we have to evaluate this following the order of operations. So we can multiply this in a couple different ways. I'll do, you can do 2 times 4 times 14. I'll do 2 times 4 first. That's 8 pi. I'll leave the 14 for later to multiply by. Plus the other side, the basis part, that's going to be 16 because 4 squared is 16. Now I'll go ahead and multiply. So 8 times 14 is 112. Whoops, 112 pi. 112 pi. Plus 2 times 16 is 32 pi. Add those two together, and you get 100. Let's see, 112 plus 32. Let's see, 112 plus 32 is equal to 144 pi. So this one doesn't say and keep it in terms of pi. So if you wanted to multiply this pi times 3.14, you would get your answer of 452.16, and this is centimeters squared. So that would technically be your final answer as a decimal. That's a lot of work. Make sure you're showing all of this work on every problem. Go ahead and press pause, and I want you to do 4 and 5 on your own, please. Press pause and do 4 and 5. All right, number 6. Number 6, again, we're going to find the surface area, so we need to write down the formula. Surface area is equal to, and we know this formula again, so I'm just going to go ahead and start plugging these in. 2 pi times our radius of 3 times a height of 6 plus 2 times pi times our radius is 3 squared. Now we just have to evaluate this appropriately. So 2 times 3 times, let's do 3 times 16 first. I'll do 2 pi 3 times 16 is 18. Whoops. 18 plus 2 pi 3 squared is 9. All right. 2 times 18 is 36 pi plus 2 times 9 is 18 pi. Add those together, 36 plus 18, and you should get 54 pi. And then if you want to multiply that times 3.14, so 54 times 3.14, and get it as a decimal, you get 169.56, and this is in inches squared. So that is the total surface area of this. Press pause and please do 7 and 8 on your own. Show all work and do 7 and 8 on your own. And then finally we have this A. So we have a couple of real world examples. We'll do the same steps though. Just be careful because it tells us the diameter is 30. So if the diameter is 30, that means both the radiuses are 15. And it gives us a height of 20 here. So we'll plug in our numbers into our formula. So it's 2 pi times our radius of 15 times our height of 20 plus the bases, which is there's 2 bases times pi times radius, which is 15, square that. Okay, so let's see. Let's just do 2 times 15 times 20. Let's multiply all those numbers together, and we should get 600 pi plus 2 pi, I'll leave that for later because we've got to do 15 squared. So 15 times 15 is 225. All right, so I'll keep my 600 pi plus 2 times 225, that is 450. Pi, add those pi's together, and you should get 1,050 pi. So if you do 1,000 times 3.14, you should get 3,297 centimeters squared as your total surface area. So I did that one for you. I want you to press pause and I want you to do B on your own. Notice that this is a 6-pack. A 6-pack of juice cans. So whenever you find this, the surface area of 1, you need to multiply that times 6. Press pause and finish this on your own and then complete the rest of your assignments for the day, your IXL, as well as the rest of your classwork. Thank you.